Yeah, all right.
We got Dan is just about entering the door. So.
Okay, why don't we'll hold off for just a second if you want to
That's
put that
fine.
on pause. All right. It is 7 o'clock on May 1st, and I call this regular Board of Trustees meeting to order. I would ask the clerk if she will please call a roll.
Trustee Head.
Here.
President Klein.
Here.
Trustee O'Brien Berglund. Here. Ortner. Here. Stamper is absent. Wecken.
Here.
And Zappa.
Here.
Item number 2 on the agenda is to review and approve the meeting minutes from the regular Board of Trustees meeting of March 27th. Let's take these. There are 2 actually, March 27th and April 17th. We'll do them separately.
George, I'll move to approve the regular board meetings of March 27th, 2012.
Second.
Thank you. Any suggested changes, edits, or questions regarding those meeting minutes? All in favor of accepting the meeting minutes from the from March 27th as written, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We had a reorganization meeting on April 17th. I would ask for someone to make a motion regarding those meeting minutes.
I'll move approval, George.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or edits, et cetera? All in favor of accepting the meeting minutes from the meeting of April 17th as written, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Item number 3 on the agenda is an opportunity for any of the residents of the Village of North Hudson to make the board aware of topics, issues, and opportunities not on today's agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4. We have a proclamation here. This is a proclamation declaring April 29th to May 5th as Municipal Clerks Week. And I will read this proclamation. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of the local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of the local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations, whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, George Klein, Village President of the Village of North Hudson, do recognize the week of April 29th through May 5th, 2012 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Becky Milbrandt, and all municipal clerks for the vital service they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. That was my motion, my proclamation. I think a second would be appropriate. Thank you. Anyone care to edit or comment on this? This is that time of the year. It only happens once a year when we actually can say thank you to Becky for all the work that she does. Everything that's in this whereas, as I read these over, I envisioned Becky at her task, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All in
Seems
favor?
somehow unfair that there isn't a administrator and deputy treasurer's week, but you know, it's definitely a group effort, and I enjoy working with them and with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. All in favor of this proclamation, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. We have a presentation by our fire chief, Jim Fry, who's going to talk to us about Mutual Aid Box Alarm System, also known as MABUS. So, Jim, the floor is yours.
Okay. Mavis started, Mavis started in Illinois, the suburb, or some of the suburbs around Chicago, in the 1970s, and it's kind of spread into Wisconsin. It started, as far as Wisconsin, it started out in southeastern Wisconsin, and it is kind of spread across the state. After the North Hudson warehouse fire, you all remember, started working to expand our resource base for personnel and equipment for those long duration incidents. I tried to work with the fire service just across the river because there's a large or vast, there's a great resource right across the river. However, the tort liability differences between the state, those folks were reluctant to sign on. They're reluctant to sign on. So the next best thing I can do is to pursue this Mavis, Wisconsin. In January, the St. Croix County Fire Officers, which is a group of the fire officers in our mutual aid group within St. Croix County, voted to pursue Mavis, Wisconsin. Since then, on February 28th, the Joint Fire Advisory Board approved pursuing Mavis, Wisconsin. It takes 4 agencies within the county to create a division of Mavis, and we think we have those on board. At least from the county officers have said, yes, we want to pursue this. And those agencies would be Hudson, St. Joe, Somerset, and United Fire Rescue, Baldwin, Hammond, Woodville. What is Mavis? Mavis is a mutual aid system connecting fire, EMS, special operations, hazardous materials, resources under one mutual aid agreement. It was established by the fire service for the fire service. It's a neighbors helping neighbors, much like our mutual aid system is now. This just regionalizes it. It's a reciprocal agreement with no cost for service. However, there are costs for supplies. In other words, we wouldn't pay for personnel and equipment, but any supplies that were used would still have to pay for. It's a voluntary membership. Some of the benefits of Mavis: it plans for emergencies before the incidents actually happen. The safety increases for the citizens and the firefighters. It can be activated without a disaster declaration by the incident commander, fire chief, or whoever happens to be running the incident. The scene control still remains with the fire chief or the local jurisdiction. There's no direct cost to municipalities. It's one contract and you can get many resources. The 2006 legislation established Mavis as the tool of choice for mutual aid in the state of Wisconsin. Currently, there are 37 counties that are organized in equal numbers working towards becoming Mavis members. And the Wisconsin State Fire Chiefs Association also endorses Mavis. When would Mavis be used? Mavis would be used on major structure fires, tornadoes, wildland fires, wide-scale flooding, mass casualty incidents, hazardous materials, any large duration large-scale long duration incidents, terrorist attacks, civil disturbances. The biggest implementation was used on, if anybody remembers the Patrick Cudahy meat plant fire, it's in the Milwaukee area. That incident lasted 7 days. It involved 8 counties, 9 Mavis division, 64 fire departments, 110 fire units, 450 fire personnel, 150 at one time, 9 task force, 2 strike teams, a hazmat team, EMS support, 33 million gallons of water were used. From that incident, because of Mavis, the company's vital processing was saved. The company reopened the next week. The company committed to rebuild in that area. The city's largest employer stayed. The city's major tax base was saved. The area business and suppliers were unaffected. Mavis is not intended to relieve a community of its responsibilities of providing equal or adequate emergency services for local emergencies. In other words, you can't cut back on the local service and rely on Mavis, as La Crosse found out, City of La Crosse found out. You still have to provide for your local. It's not an avenue to reduce staffing or equipment. It's agreed to respond, but in amongst this, we agree to respond to other emergencies in other communities unless we have some emergency at home. The program takes about 2 years to put together because you pre-plan incidents and what resources are coming from what agencies. So it takes a while to put this all together. But this is the best I can come up with without costing a lot of dollars as far as gathering the extreme resources. We still maintain our local mutual aid agreements. This would just extend them out to other agencies throughout the state. And there can be some special things. Somebody might have one specialty piece of equipment that might be used. The example was given to me. They had a fire in the kind of a basement kind of thing where a lot of telecommunications equipment was, and they were able to get this large fan out of Illinois there because they were unable to ventilate this thing because it was underground. They were able to get this large fan out of Illinois and a couple hours away and get those resources. That's the kinds of things that special resources that it would tie us in with. Any questions?
Yeah, when I saw this come up on the agenda, and I wanted to find out who Mavis was, and it's based out of Chicago, and I'm thinking, okay, what kind of mutual aid are we getting out of Chicago, which is about 6 hours away, and so we started doing. I started doing some research, and in part of this, say in Section 6, we've got $1 million insurance policy that we've got to carry in order to be part of Mavis. We've got, in the resolution that we have, we've got, whereas Wisconsin Statute 66-0301, parent 2, authorize any municipality to contract with any other municipality and with federally recognized Indian tribes and bands in this state. Mavis is not a municipality and is not an Indian tribe. So I think we would need our lawyers to check this out in order to see if we can in fact go with, with this resolution. I don't think we can, I have questions on legality. We have, there's the NIM system if we have emergency, management. We have mutual aid that we saw that worked, I thought, extremely well. You have more experience than I do with the North Hudson fire stuff, but what do we have, 10, 15 other municipalities?
That was not mutual aid. The village or somebody paid for a lot of those resources that were here.
Agreed. All right, so that's, but the mutual aid, the fire departments did come from other areas, correct?
Right.
All right. So, and we have FEMA. I mean, for a lot of the, hazmat, tornado disasters and stuff like that. I'm having trouble with, why we want to hook up with a mutual aid group from Chicago or whatever. That, I can see Milwaukee. Yeah, that's good. Madison. Yeah, that's good. But up in this part of the state, Minnesota hasn't bought in on it yet. They're looking into it, but then I could see we can pull resources out of the Twin Cities. I can understand that, but right now I don't see the benefit to the village.
Right now, the closest county is Dunn County, so that'd be Menominee area, and then beyond that it's Eau Claire County, and then after that it's pretty much
It's a
contiguous.
shotgun blast.
Pretty much contiguous to the southern part of the state.
Right.
Then after that, southern and east of that.
But my biggest concern is, how do we enter into this agreement with this resolution and, the statute doesn't,
Well, I can tell you the city Hudson's attorney has looked at this, and the city has approved it already, and the town of Hudson has approved it already. But I understand your concern.
Do you want to say something?
Sure. I did take a look at this a little bit earlier today. I had some of the same concerns that you raised with respect to this. I mean, some of it also has to do just with the format of this. This is an agreement, but it doesn't really say who's the other party to the agreement. I understand that it's Mavis and it's that system. I did some of the same research that you did online, and but the agreement here is only being signed by North Hudson. It isn't being signed by somebody on the other side, so there's some missing component here at some point. And I looked at it and I understood what you were saying, Chief, as far as, the other, it doesn't replace the mutual aid that currently exists among the communities. I happen to be familiar with United Fire District over in Baldwin because that's where I am, and helped put that package together. That was an intergovernmental agreement among the municipalities to form that particular district, and that's how most of the fire protection is in this part of the state. But I had some of those same concerns when I looked at it, and it looks to me like this is something that's been lifted from somebody else that's done it, and it really
It's
isn't
on their
tailored.
website, yeah.
And it talks at one point in here something with respect to the county, which really doesn't apply to our situation. So, before I'd be comfortable with the village entering into it. I'd want to do a little bit more looking at it. So.
And I did send it on to Dennis Tweedale from the League of Municipal Insurance to check on that exact issue with the $1 million for the auto, because we don't.
Yeah, no, there was flags. As soon as I saw it, it's like, all right, I'm sorry, it's like, really. We spent quite a bit of time. It was a beautiful PowerPoint presentation, that they had in there. But it's like, it just, spidey senses were going off.
As I understand it, Chief, this is really just another layer above the existing mutual aid in
That-
theory.
that's
So it
correct.
expands it out of St. Croix County, for example, to Dunner or Eau Claire. They could
Right.
send a piece over here, and the
Right.
idea is to connect it up on a wider basis.
Right, exactly.
But as you pointed out, the most likely aid is going to come from across the river where the resources are, and right now, they're not part of the deal.
Right. We have mutual aid agreements with 4 agencies across the river, but beyond that,
Sure.
they're a little reluctant to sign on because of tort liability differences between the states.
Jim, as I read this over, what occurred to me was that this looked like, to use your word, Tom, another layer, almost of bureaucracy. And I was concerned with that. But the second thing I wondered as I looked at this, okay, why does the village have to sign on to this? Okay, we are serviced by you, by the Hudson Fire Department. I know because I signed the checks. And then the final thing that occurred to me was, okay, we didn't have this for one of the 2 biggest fires that St. Croix County ever had, and that was the warehouse fire down here. We went beyond mutual aid. It was almost like there was no problem getting other departments to come in and help us. I remember that we had two of the big hook and ladders out here spraying water on that building. We brought in water from Hudson. It seemed like everything was run really well.
Well,
And
thank you,
I
but
couldn't
Oh,
help-
it was huge. No, I was like,
I couldn't, as I read this, I go, what am I getting out of this that I didn't get from the experience that we had?
without agreements, and my proverbial butt was hanging in the breeze with the agencies we didn't have agreements with as far as liability goes. I mean, they came on their free will,
Right.
so to speak, but if something would have happened without an agreement that spells out liabilities and all that, could have been in trouble, I suppose. I mean, they came on their free will, it
Right.
put the call in and asked for them, and they came in. But like, for instance, Eau Claire didn't send anybody because there was no mutual aid agreements. It's up to the individual agency whether they're gonna respond in or not.
And all of those agencies who came, who were outside of mutual aid, were paid.
Most of them submitted bills, some of them didn't, you know. Some submitted bills, some didn't. I mean, obviously,
Well, my file on that fire is about that thick.
so, but you know what I mean? Some did it out of, you know, and others didn't. Obviously, the ones that submitted bills, we had an obligation to pay.
Are you getting a sense from just the questions that, from Stan, from Tom and myself, that we're a little reluctant to look at this, to sign this contract at this time?
Yeah. I did ask the same question you did about why does each municipality have to sign on? Or what I had asked, does each municipality have to sign on? And the answer I got back was yes.
Who was that asked to?
Rick Merrifield of the Mabus Group that represents the Mabus Group for this area.
But just keep in mind that, you know, as I think as you mentioned, I mean, North Hudson doesn't have a fire department. We have an agreement with you, and this really speaks to, you know, part of, Gloria and I were talking about this earlier today. The part of what it talks about in here is it talks about municipalities, et cetera, fire protection districts similar to what they would have over in United Fire, having a fire department. Well, North Hudson does not have a fire department.
Right, and I did explain that to him, that, you know, that the fire department was actually owned by the city of Hudson and
We contract.
the other ones were contracted. He
Sure.
said, his reply was each municipality that you serve needs to sign on to this. I didn't ask why, but
Well, I
that
guess
was the follow-up question.
Yeah,
I
but the
didn't ask
question is,
why.
so what if they don't?
Yeah.
That's the real question. What if they don't?
Because I could see a situation where, for example, the Hudson Fire Department does that because they think that it makes sense from their perspective to have these other agencies available on a wider scale than just the normal mutual aid. I mean, I can understand that, but that's really a city of Hudson and a Hudson Fire Department decision as opposed to a Village of North Hudson decision, I think.
I will do some follow-up with that exactly, because the city attorney, I talked to her today, she had the same question put to her from the town of Troy, so.
Okay.
Through a different attorney in the same office, let me
I was
put it
gonna say,
like
they
that.
represent both the city and
Well,
the
yeah,
town,
in the
so
same
they
office.
could walk down the hall and ask the
Yeah.
question.
So they had the same question today. She was supposed to get back to me. She was gonna call Rick herself and
Sure.
get that answer.
Yeah, 'cause this outfit, I mean, you know, it sounds good and it's, you know, and it's very professionally done, but somebody's paying their bills, you know, so that's why I said, well, it's no cost to us. Who the hell's paying for this outfit? You know, that's another question I have.
Yeah.
Like, you know, well, all the stuff
Chicago's
there, who's
Stan in Chicago.
yeah, but if Chicago's paying for it, that means all of us are paying for it somehow. But no, I'm you know, it's just who's paying for this, you know, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. But you know, thank you for your.
Yep.
I think we should definitely look into this. If there was another incident and we did have a liability issue, how much is our liability insurance going to cost to cover this $1 million policy? is it worth having that versus not having it, and we have another structure fire? What's our insurance coverage?
Agreed.
I agree, and we did pose the question, but I just didn't have I just got this, like, was it Friday?
Yeah.
And so, we haven't heard back from our insurance agent, so.
I think it's really good that we're putting everybody together to pool resources and covering everybody's butt. I think that's important.
But we don't know what we're getting out of it. I mean, this is very nebulous on what's in this package. And if you go look at their proposals and their website and stuff like that, there's, they can do this, they could do that. There's no shalls in there, and there's, a lot of the stuff that isn't, I'm gonna say, we might be paying for something that we're not gonna get a lot of benefit out of. Especially out of Eau Claire, or Chicago, or Milwaukee. I mean, if the Twin Cities and stuff, they're looking at it. If they get involved, then I can see a closer benefit because they're accessible. I mean, a 5-hour, 6-hour ride or 2-hour, 3-hour ride, what kind of problems are we going to have in that process?
This is for the days or several days events. So you have to keep in mind, this isn't for the 12-hour and we go home. This is for incidents that are long extended, and the 5 or 6 hour ride then is nothing.
Oh no, but a days long. I want to see the history of that. How many days long events do we have?
None, fortunately, or very few.
Well, no.
Very few. I won't say none. Very few, fortunately.
Right.
But
Jim, the other thing that occurs to me as we look at this is we are currently looking for an emergency management director. And it seems to me that once that person is on board, as you know, I'm on the EMS commission, we're meeting tomorrow morning, and as soon as that person is on board, I see a definite link. If you are that person, fine. If you're not, you will be working with the EMS chief, the fire chief, and be able to perhaps codify this in a way and adjust it so that it would fit more to our circumstances. I am concerned that the village would buy into this where, and again, to repeat what we said before, we contract both EMS service and fire service with the city. And it seems kind of strange for us to be buying into this where we don't even have a fire truck.
But yet you have the jurisdiction.
Yeah, we have the jurisdiction, and we all have garden hoses, and that's about it.
And I think that's probably where Mavis was coming from. This is your jurisdiction, but I will follow up with that for sure.
I take it then you understand that at least several of us who have spoken are a little bit concerned about me signing my name on this
Yeah,
agreement.
and rightfully so, because it just got it last week, so.
Yeah. The left side of the table, we got anybody else over here who wants to?
So if we had been a part of this, would Eau Claire have come
They,
and fire them?
yeah, and I'm not sure if they were on board at the time that incident happened yet or not, but, Mavis was starting its spread about that time.
I don't think this is really trying to create another layer. I think it's just trying to better coordinate what is already in existence, or trying to make it a little better. Maybe the wording isn't quite right, but it seems like they're trying to be aware of who has what resources, so if something does happen, they've already agreed to come so that they wouldn't have to call and say, maybe could you help
Otherwise,
us?
they'd have to call George,
Yeah.
then they'd have to call the other agency. This is all pre-planned out where this,
It's just, I think it's
Stuff
just
is.
trying to get it organized better.
I think if I was the Twin Cities Metro and St. Croix County wasn't fully involved with this, why in the world would anyone in the Twin Cities Metro want to get involved with it?
like you said, there's a whole host of resources close, however, they're untappable, so to speak.
I have one
Yeah.
additional question. Last, with the fire in the shop yards, and it was around $40,000 of cost. Had we had this in place, Would that amount have changed in any way?
I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, about half of that was for personnel and equipment, and the other half was supplies. So the personnel and equipment portion, we wouldn't have saw any bills for.
We wouldn't have, okay.
The fuel costs and or the equipment, the foam, we would still saw bills for that stuff.
And that foam, that was considerable expense, if I remember correctly. So,
George, how often are the contracts with EMS and fire renewed? Is that once a year?
it's annual.
It's an annual.
Yeah, revolving annual.
Would there be the possibility of amending this into the annual contract?
I'll leave that up to Jim with fire.
As far as the cost or what?
As far as this agreement, so we're currently in a mutual agreement with Hudson, correct?
Right.
We pay a fee for that every year.
Yep.
It just seems to me that somewhere within, as an addendum to it or as an appendix to that contract, this could be covered in it somehow without the liability aspect of it. From a contractual basis.
That'll come back to you when I find out why each municipality has to be signed on.
All right. Sounds to me like we got some more questions and
Sure.
answers yet to come.
Sure.
Jim, I want to thank you very
You
much
bet.
for this presentation. I know more about it now than I did that one brief exposure to it during EMS meeting recently. With that in mind, I'd move that we table item number 6, the resolution.
Second.
All in favor of tabling until a future date, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item number 7, this is the new business from the board and staff. And the first one, item A on here, is President's comment, introduction to the new village member. Down at my far right is Ted Head. He's the newest member, recently elected to the board. And so, Ted, I would like to give you the floor for a few moments. Tell us about yourself. I've met your wife, your family, very nice. Looking forward to a long relationship here. But take over.
So I am currently employed with Ecolab. I'm their Director of Global Product Innovation Registrations on a global basis. I've been here in Hudson for 4 years now. Really feel that I've been literally across the world from Australia. My last residence was actually in the Chicago area, so please don't hold that against me. I have to be careful when I wear my Chicago Bears hat.
Very careful.
Yeah, it's and working in Minnesota, it makes it even that much harder to be a Bears fan. But really believe in giving back to the community. North Hudson's really quite a different area than I've ever lived before. My wife and the family really settled down for the first time in many, many years, so I felt like it was an opportunity to give back to the community. And I strongly believe in the slogan, your neighbor, your voice, right? We all live in the community. We all have a part of the community. Therefore, we should all be giving back to the community.
Thank you, Ted. And now I have to move. For what next on the agenda is I have to move up to the podium. But I'm not going to be alone. You'll notice on the agenda that it says recognition of some years of service. And I'd like to ask Mr. Zappa to come up here and join me. I know you don't like this, Mark, and you know what? That's part of the joy of being able
Smile
to
for
do
the
this.
camera.
Yeah. A couple months ago, I was recognized for 10 years of service by the League of Municipalities, and this is something relatively new. And then we did a little research, and we found out that our friend Mr. Zappa here has actually been serving the community as a trustee for 17 years. Now, Mark, they don't have 17-year pins, so you get a 15. In a few years, we'll give you one that says 20. You're very welcome, and I want to read this. This is from the League of, or from Dan Thompson, the executive director. He says, I recently learned that we had incomplete data on your years of service on the village board and have corrected our records. Congratulations on 17 years of service to your community. I have enclosed a lapel pin recognizing your first 15 years of service. I hope you wear it proudly. I put mine on for this occasion. You see it right here. Right? There's a pin on the back. Be careful you don't hurt yourself. Okay. You deserve it. Please accept my apologies for not sending the pin 2 years ago. Our length of service award program is new, and it takes a while to get complete data on all city and village officials. So, Mark, thank you very much for serving the village. You did the last.
Very nice.
All right, that's item 1. Item 2. On item 3, it says on here Centennial Celebration, June 10th, 2012, and hanging up in the entryway is a little flyer. And Gloria or Becky said they'd be more than happy to make a copy of this if you would like one. There'll be a lot more publicity coming out. North Hudson Centennial Celebration, June 10th, 2012, Pepperfest Park, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's right over here. Excuse me. Come and celebrate the 100th birthday of our village. Then and now, a display of pictures, artifacts, and history of the village of North Hudson. They'll be taking place in this room. We also will have a blacksmith demonstration. That'll be Nick Heinen from over in the shop yards, who has the most enviable man cave I've ever seen. And he's going to be here with a 100-year-old forge, working with his iron horseshoes and making things. Vintage car display. We're going to have a commemorative quilt display. This quilt has really grown. I got the word from the head quilter, the master quilter, that it's up to me to find a rod that's 8 feet long. So that's how long this quilt's going to be. It's about 6 by 8. I think that's what it is. Becky, isn't that what it dimensions? So fortunately, I have such a rod. As anybody who knows me knows, I'm a squirrel. I don't throw anything that's salvageable. I don't throw it away. So over the years, I've replaced a couple garage door openers. Now, when you replace a garage door opener, you get a new a new tube, right? They're almost 9 feet long, so it's perfect for this application, and eventually it'll hang right back here. We're going to have a 1890s barber chair. I talked to Bob Bach. He lives here in the village, and he operates the barber shop formerly operated by Neil Smith over in Lakeland. And he's got this old barber chair, and I think he's going to ham it up a little bit for us, too. Music and singing, we're looking forward to not only a brass quintet or quartet, but also a barbershop quartet. I've got a director of music who's working on that. Old-fashioned pie judging contest. I even talked my wife into submitting a pie for judging. We're going to have blue ribbons for first, second, and third place. We're going to have authentic 1910 root beer, making root beer floats, and plenty of food. We're even going to have some surprises regarding the food, and I can't talk about it yet because it's not really nailed down. But we got some ideas for food that was served back in the early 1900s here in the village, because this village had a very interesting makeup. We had the Italians and we had the Scandinavians, and together they came up with some really interesting dishes. And we hope to be able to recreate some of those for this festivity. All right. Anybody else? You have anything to add, Colleen? Colleen and I sit on that committee that is headed up by Mona Houston. And I want to publicly say right now, I so appreciate Mona taking the reins of this project and running with it. So we're meeting again at 6:30 tomorrow night. And if anyone would like to come and help out, we sure could use you. All right. I'm finished with that, so Gloria, I guess it's your turn.
Okay, there will be a law enforcement memorial celebration or ceremony being held on Tuesday, May 15th, 2012 at 6 o'clock in the New Richmond High School auditorium. And I'd like, if Chief Richards would please present that information and answer any questions that you may have.
I will. Last week, a group of chiefs and the sheriff from the St. Croix County Chiefs group got together and decided we needed to acknowledge the Memorial Day celebration. That week is actually the Law Enforcement Memorial Week, and so on the Tuesday night at 6 p.m. there will be a ceremony that will be held to recognize those officers that gave their life during 2011. All the names will be read, and there will be a pretty lengthy ceremony with some different things that will show off the officers within St. Croix County and the Sheriff's Department. Our guest speaker is Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Patience Roggensack. She will be coming up to do a presentation or be the keynote speaker for that event. We're inviting anyone, the public, officers from all over the area to come and join us to remember those officers that gave their life. And we will be sending out specific invitations to the board members as well as some other important people within the communities that we all serve, but we wanted to make sure the general public realizes it's a family event. There will be refreshments served afterwards and just an opportunity to support your local law enforcement.
Would you give the date again?
May 15th, Tuesday, May 15th at 6 p.m. at the New Richmond High School Auditorium, which is a brand new high school, and I understand the auditorium is very, very nice. We're going to go visit next Monday, visit the venue and see how we're going to play it out. But thank you.
Okay. Becky, your turn. Village Clerk.
Thank you. Again, a reminder of upcoming elections. There is an election next week on May 8th, and then also on June 5th. So those who are interested in voting, if you haven't registered, please come in and do so. You can also register on election day. Absentee ballots are available for the May 8th election until 5 p.m. on Friday, this Friday. The election in June conflicts with the next village board meeting, so I would request that the village board consider moving the June 5th village board meeting to Thursday, May 31st. Yeah.
We need a motion for that, or?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
Thank you, Stan. Any questions or discussions? Okay. Looks like the June 1st, or the June meeting will be on May 31st, 2012, if the board agrees to, so I will now ask for a vote. All in favor of changing the date for the June meeting to May 31st, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else, Becky?
That's all I have.
Okay. Item 8 on the agenda is adoption of an ordinance relating to traffic and vehicles. And Chief, would you want to talk about this a little bit?
I would. Do you want me to stay in place or go to the podium?
Wherever you're most comfortable. We can pick you up on.
I'm seated, so I'm most comfortable here.
That's what I kinda figured.
The Public Safety, and I'll keep this brief, the Public Safety Committee voted in favor of this change to the ordinance. Basically, it comes from a situation where the previous, or there was an ordinance 90-C, which there was some conflict with the municipal judge and some of the interpretations of how the ordinance was being applied. So the committee, over a period of time, had taken a look at and made some changes not only to Ferry Landing Park and the area surrounding it for parking, and now have signed it differently, so it no longer applies the ordinance to that particular area. It's applying the ordinance related to signage. But the rest of the village then was still covered under 90-9 parent C, which talks about the parking of large vehicles. The committee had a long discussion about or over the past several meetings had discussions regarding a vehicle plus a boat and trailer, which was longer than the 20-foot, which is prohibited to be longer than 20 feet. And so an exception was looked at, and that's what this particular ordinance is doing. It's adding an exception to 90-9 parent C, which allows for a vehicle and recreational trailer, so not just boats, but also snowmobiles, four-wheelers, those types of things, can be parked on a village street in a residential area and not be in violation of this parking of large vehicles restricted. It still would, though, fall within the prohibition of the 24-hour parking ordinance. So they could still park it there, it just can't be longer than 24 hours. So if you've got a friend, and I think Jim Thomas, the former trustee, was talking, you have a friend who goes boating all day, stops by for dinner, parks his boat and trailer in front of your residence, they're not going to be in violation of this ordinance as long as they don't stay longer than 24 hours per the other ordinance. So just kind of cleaning up some of the ambiguity related to this and how it related to recreational trailers attached to vehicles.
My only question on this is, okay, you got a 24-hour rule. So let's just say I have a guest, and he's traveling across the country, and he's going to stay with us for a few days. Does he does he park his vehicle, let's say, at the south end of my property, and then each day, each 24 hours goes out and moves it 2 feet?
That would be perfect. It's no longer parked in the same location that it was 24 hours prior.
That's why we have those little things to mark the tires.
I've had my tires marked in the city. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, what was that, in the city of Hudson?
In the city of Hudson, yes. I have had my tires marked in front of City Hall. And so that's why we keep all of our meetings at City Hall to under 2 hours. I am not kidding. Hey, we got to get going. Chalk mark has to move. So, thank you, Mark.
Move to add the following exemption to village ordinance 90-90, parent C parent 6. Any combination of vehicle and recreational trailer, period.
Second.
Any further questions or comments to the chief? As this is an adoption of an ordinance, we'll have a roll call vote, and we'll start with Dan.
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item number 9. Looks like this is still in your area, Mark? Is that correct?
I'll take it. And I guess really because the old public safety chair is no longer on the board, I'll follow through because we worked together on this. Gloria actually, as far as the verbiage that is here, Gloria worked with the village attorney to put this into place. And really what it does is it cleans up the fact that our current ordinance related to civil emergencies discusses a lot of agreements that are no longer in place as of November and some changes to state statute. And so really it cleans up that part of the ordinance that talks about those civil emergencies and brings them up to date with the current emergency management type avenues that we're taking. Now, we don't yet have a decision on the emergency management director, but once that director is in place or that decision has been made, there won't have to be a lot of changes that'll take place because this is in place to designate an emergency management director per state statute. So really, again, not changing anything that currently is being done, but just bringing it up to the 21st century, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Thank you, Mark.
I move approval, George, of ordinance number 07-2012.
Enough.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. When this is rewritten without all this, it's going to be a very short ordinance, isn't it? It'll do the job. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, Ted, we'll start with you on this one. Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 All right, on the table in front of you, you had the updated version of the directory of elected and appointed officials. And you'll notice that almost everything is filled in. We do have, I'll take you to the last changes on here. The Historic Preservation Committee is now chaired by Stan, and I would say co-chaired by his wife, Mary. Stan, would that be accurate?
I'm chair because I'm on the village board.
Yeah, I know. But
No, she, it's definitely co-chair, and she does, she's a history aficionado, and she's enjoyed her rabbit holes that she's dug into with North Hudson and a lot of the history. And anybody that's seen the cookbook, that's most of her work and the history and stuff that is involved there. We've had a lot of really great kudos from and what she's done with that. And if anybody hasn't got one, we've got them on sale here at the village.
Yeah, there's a
and at
couple
Hudson's.
left, Stan?
There's a couple left. Get them before the centennial. We don't know if we'll be in a second printing then or not.
Okay, all right. The next name I have on here is Colleen's husband, John. John has agreed to serve on that committee. Thank you, Colleen, for encouraging him in that direction. I indicated Mona Houston a little while ago, and she has agreed also. I think she'll be a real asset to this preservation committee based on the work that she's already put in on the centennial. Kim White, many of you know Kim. She's the owner of Village Liquors, and really loves this village almost as much as I do. So, and the rest of you, I'm sure. The only opening, as you go down here, you'll see right underneath that same page, you'll see senior citizens, and it says vacant. I am looking for someone who would be willing to serve on the Hudson area senior, or as our senior representative on at the senior center. I have a brochure that I will leave with Becky. And Becky, if someone is interested and wants to know a little bit more information, they could come in and read this brochure. They meet on, I believe it's Wednesday mornings, once a month.
Yes.
And we let this stand as a request for representation or someone who would like to serve in that capacity. All right, I believe I need a motion to accept this directory of elected and appointed officials as presented.
I'll move approval of the directory of appointed officials as presented here, George.
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. I believe we can do this by a roll call vote, but before we do that, I would ask Mr. Stanifer, would you like to come up and join us? No? Okay.
I'm late to meetings.
You just did. Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item number 11 on the agenda is our next item, and that is the Plan Commission, and I see that Mike Meiser is here. And Mike, you don't come unless you have something to say, so.
That's correct.
The floor is yours.
Share update, we had 2 items on our meeting of April 11th. I'll start with the second one, it flows with your agenda better. About 6 months ago, Victory for You Fitness requested and received a conditional use permit, and it was a home business, and so there were some concerns with noise and things like that, and so the time that the permit was granted, it was just for 1 year with a 6-month reevaluation. And so Becky indicated she has received no complaints. There was any of the problems that they envisioned might happen didn't happen, and so the Plan Commission, moved and agreed to allow them to continue operating for the rest of their 1-year permit, and then we'll be talking to council, village council, about what we need to do to go past the 1-year operation.
Very good.
And the other item was we had a public hearing from John Van Nest, owner of 240 Monroe Street. He has a cabinet shop down in the shop yards, and he wanted to rent out some of the outdoor area around his shop for boat storage and things. And so it was a public hearing. There was one member of the public there who did speak, and she just happens to be the person who owns the property right behind him. So she has, she had no problems with what the proposal was. So she had a few questions, but she was supportive of it. And so, as you can see from your next item, we recommended approval of the conditional use permit for outdoor storage with the following conditions that are
Yep.
your thing. And that's what we did.
Do we have someone here who would like to make a motion?
I'll
to-
make a motion to accept the conditional use permit for John Vaness at 240 Monroe Street North to store outside, to have outside boat storage of 20-25 boats. Hours between 8 and 4:30, boats stored within a privacy fence on the property, 7 days per week, summer and winter months.
Are we abiding by the recommended conditions for approval that follow your minutes?
Excuse me?
There's a page here under planning commission where there's a recommended conditions for approval.
Oh,
There were some hours and lighting conditions in
Yeah.
it.
It's the page before, I think, what you were.
thought I had it all nailed. Okay, so,
There it is.
ah, there it is. All right, I got the hours now. Property is to be kept clean with no outside storage other than boats and trailers. 6-foot high privacy fence with black fabric mesh shall be installed along the northwest, south sides of the property. Additional exterior lighting to be perimeter cutoff lighting.
Second.
Thank you.
There were a few other conditions at the beginning, if we wanna just kind of state that you're proposing it with the entire list of conditions
I am,
recommended by the plan commission.
Lord have
Yeah,
mercy.
that's.
Yes, the recommendations from the planning commission.
My only thing, just picking up on something here, I thought you said 25.
Well, I was looking at the actual, what I'm looking at was looking at is the type conditional use requested. I will amend that then to maximum of 30 boats and trailers in good repair to be stored on the property at any given time.
Okay. Okay with that, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Becky? Everything's fine? All right. Any comments, questions?
I just got one. Are we storing boat, like, trucks and boat trailers that park, launch at Ferry's Landing and then come and park? Or is this just for seasonal storage, or?
Yeah, it's just gonna be seasonal storage. There's not gonna be no trucks in the yard.
Okay.
If somebody wants to go fishing, they'll pick up their boat, take it down to the river, drop the boat in. Yeah, and then bring it back, just to leave it, just a place to keep it out of the yards.
I think you could make a little money doing that.
So will it be just boat trailers and boats, or will it be like ATV trailers as well?
No, it's just, actually it'll be, like jet skis.
Sure.
Or just fishing boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the neighbors have had adequate, at least notice?
I'm sorry?
You feel that the neighbors, the surrounding properties have had? at
It was a
least
public
adequate-
hearing, and
Yeah.
there was
Just one.
one person, but she was the closest, and she had no objections to it.
The public hearing notices were sent out to all adjoining property owners within 100 feet of the applicant, so they were notified. Anybody who would have direct impact was notified and had an opportunity to come to the public hearing.
Perfect. Just want to prevent any
Yeah.
downstream problems, right?
There's quite the packet contains aerial shots, certified survey map, and all the details, so I would hope that the public would recognize that we have done our due diligence in this. And John, welcome to the neighborhood. Hope you have a good business. This is your opportunity to actually sell your business, if you had anything you wanted to say about it. John will be operating a cabinet shop, and that's what will be in that building that's on that property, so we wish you well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We do have a motion on the floor, and I would, because this is a conditional use permit, I think we can do we don't need a roll call vote, so. All in favor of this conditional use permit for
Aye.
John Van Nest, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thanks, John.
That completes Plan Commission.
Thank you, Mike. All right, Personnel and Finance Committee met just a little while ago. I don't mind telling you, I'm actually proud of the fact that our meeting took 13 minutes. All right, and then we waited 45 minutes for you guys to show. Okay, here we go. All right, we do have some bills to pay,
Third,
and
can I approve the April 2012 non-recurring claims totaling $17,824.55?
Second.
anybody have any questions about these bills? Because this is spending, we'll have a roll call vote. Dan, you want to start us off?
Yes.
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 Yes. How do you want to sleep?
Scare me like that. That's actually the only item that the Finance Committee had to bring before your, or bring to your attention.
Yeah.
Public Works, sorry, Mark, that it has taken an hour to get to you. I hope there's enough light for you. There we go. Public Works.
I'll take care of it.
You want
We
to
had three manifestly uninteresting things to approve.
That's a great way to put
Really
it.
don't take much discussion, I don't believe. One is we have a pest control with ants, and we had recommended to the board and finance committee, and they approved to approve Guardian pest control proposal at a cost of $38 per month with no contractual obligation exceeding 1 month. That is a motion I made and making.
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. If anybody is unfamiliar with the situation, we do have a problem with ants who like to build little mounds on the floor outside or just above our ventilation ducts. And Mark, what I like about this is it's a no contractual obligation. So is this pretty much a month by month?
With the ants or Guardian?
Well, we're pretty sure that the ants are continual,
Okay.
and, you know, but, anybody have any questions or comments of Mark?
I didn't know you were an Esquire.
Esquire?
I earned it.
Yes. After 17 years.
17 years, yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Head, would you like to start us off this evening with this one?
Yes.
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 And annually, we need to have our lift serviced and checked out. So, Mark, you want to deal with
Yes,
that one?
I'd like to, the lift needs a maintenance contract with people who are qualified to make sure it's working properly for state certification, I believe, and insurance purposes. I'd like to move to approve the renewal of the performance basic plan from Aerolift, who's done it before, at a cost not to exceed $386 per year, which is $11 more than it was last year, but those are the grisly details.
Second.
Any questions? You're going to be spending $386, so Dan, you want to start us off?
Yes.
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 It appears that the village is so big that the superintendent needs some help during the summer months. Is that right, Mark? All right. Take over, Mark.
Each year we have a seasonal employee, and this year, a young man by the name of Joseph Fry was selected, so I'd like to move to hire Joseph Fry as part-time seasonal public works employee for the summer of 2012. And Jim, you can't vote on this.
Second.
Another Fry somewhere.
Another
yes.
Fry.
Yes.
Couldn't possibly be a relative, could it? I just-
At this point, I don't care.
I don't care either. Okay. All right, I've kind of lost track of this, but I don't know. You want to start us off, Ted?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
and that's it.
All right, public safety. You want to carry on?
That I'm not prepared to. I haven't met as the chairman yet, because
Oh, okay.
our chief would like to
Chief can, yeah.
ring in on it
Yeah, you want-
I'm acting chair today.
Yeah.
There is no chair update.
forevermore.
There is no chair update at this time.
Okay, we have a couple items for your approval or consideration. The first is the North Hudson Elementary Fun Run, Wednesday, May 23rd, 2012. What they want to do is close some roads and run around the block, and they do this every year. So if you look at the meeting minutes from the April 12th meeting, you will see on the second page, right at the top, the North Hudson Elementary Fun
George,
Run.
I'd like to move to authorize traffic restrictions on Webster Street North from Lemon Street North to Helen Street North, and Helen Street North from Webster Street. Holy Christ. And whatever all that says, and let the kids run. I mean,
I think we got it.
I think you did. This is,
Second. Oh, go ahead, Ted.
Okay,
Ted's in.
Ted's in? Okay. All right. Is there,
I'll accept responsibility if it goes awry.
thanks for picking the big ones. Okay. All in favor of letting the kids run around the block indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. The next one, you don't have a statement on this one. I don't think this went through public safety, did it? The one that we want to do is ask on June 10th, 2012, we would like your approval to temporarily close the road in front of Village Hall from the hours of noon to 5.
George,
That's my
there is-
motion.
There is an issue statement that was prepared. It did not go through public safety, but I was asked to issue a
Oh,
statement.
did I miss that?
It's the very last thing.
Where's that at?
The behind the fun run statement.
Oh, here it is. I even have my own notes on the page, the stuff I've scribbled on here, yeah. Move to close, I'll reword the motion if it needs to be. Move to close 7th Street North to vehicular traffic from St. Croix Street North to Monroe Street North for North Hudson Centennial Celebration on Sunday, June 10th, from noon to 5.
Second.
The event actually is from 1 to 4, but we figured that it's an hour for setup and an hour for cleanup, and that's why you got the noon to 5. Okay, any questions?
What is it?
Was that one? Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All the same sign. Looks like public welfare. Did you guys meet?
Mr. President, there is no update from the chair because we have not met public welfare.
Thank you. Park Board. Park Board always meets. They always got something going on.
Yeah, but we don't have really too much to update.
Well, I was looking over this stuff. I wondered if there was an update on the bocce ball for the Centennial or...
No, Mark said he was working on it.
Okay.
Dick lied and he wasn't at the meeting, and
Okay,
as much as I know is he's working on it.
that's fine. So, that's it.
That's it.
Mr. Zappa, do you have any final words?
Move to adjourn, George, for the. time
See,
you would
17
have
times 12. Do the math, right? All right, I'll second that motion. All in favor of adjourning indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much.